Hello, my fellow renegades. Welcome back. We have another very exciting Renegade Society radio show for you today. I have a really awesome guest that I'm super pumped to talk with about so many things, so many amazing things. So we'll get to that in a second. But before we get into that, just a quick reminder about some cool stuff we have going on over at Renegade. So the Snallygaster situation is now available for pre-order. And if you have not checked out this game yet, you need to. I got to demo a little bit of it over at RenCon over the past weekend, our winter edition of that, and it is phenomenal. You need it in your life, trust me. And the art is amazing in it. So that is going on. We also have Embarcadero, which is also now available for pre-order. Also another amazing game. And both of these games are very different. So you probably need both of them in your library. And then, of course, we have Egretsuko, which is based off the amazing musical and comedy anime of the same name, which has just been announced and is also available for pre-order. So many games for you to enjoy. So you can pre-order your copy today to find out if you can balance both your work and your rage at the same time. And I'm sure you can. I believe in you. We are also giving away, speaking of games, another amazing game today, which is Succulent. I'm super excited to be giving this game away. I actually am probably going to try to play it right after we do this because as soon as I heard we were giving it away, it made me want to play it. So good. So the code word will be given later in the show. So just keep your ears open for that. And Desiree will, as always, provide the link for you where you can enter in that code word. So you can try to win. My fingers are crossed. And if you have any questions for our amazing guest, please feel free to put those in the chat and we will get to them near the end of our show today. So we'll hold on to those. As they come up, just feel free to throw them at us. All right, friends, it's time to welcome my amazing guest. I would love to welcome Paula Deming to the show. Paula Deming is a content creator, a YouTuber, an actress, an improver. She sings, she does funny jokes, she writes songs, she does everything. And she does a lot of cool board game content over at Things Get Dicey. Yay, hello.
First, I have a question. Is it rude for the guest to enter the giveaway?
I don't know. I don't know if that's rude. I want you to win that game. I say do it.
Yeah, I would actually feel I might enter it, but I would feel guilty if I won it. I'd be like, oh, I've taken something away from people.
If you win it and you feel too guilty, I feel like you can always contact us and be like, contact the next person.
It's like, just actually don't, I'll just pass it on. I'll just pass it on to someone.
Oh, I mean, I also feel like with your content, there's probably something cool that I think you should just even pitch us and be like, I'd love a copy of Succulent to make
we can come up with a sketch right now, the two of us together. Okay, Succulent, something about, okay, just spitballing here. I'm watering the actual game, but that ruins
to try and make it grow. I mean,
I'm not sure what else from that, but
I think there's something in there and just in terms of the water, because one thing I was just talking about before I came here was the whole premise of the game, which is to get water. And I was like, I've never been so excited to like water plants in my life. So I feel like there's an element of something in there that I think you should stick with. I think we got something.
Oh, it might be as a person living in California, something that revolves around needing water might be too real for me, though we haven't been deep in the drought for a little while, so it's a little better now. But
yeah, I mean, this is a game where, I mean, I think that does definitely make a lot of sense then, because this game, I'm not approaching it with that being someone that's, in Toronto, and I feel like there are times when I feel like we have too much water. But that's where we are amidst all these Great Lakes. We got so much water. So that's very nice.
No. Hi, I'm Paula, everyone, by the way. If you don't know who I am, people are like, well, what is she talking about?
We got to get this sketch. So just forgive us for going off on a tangent. But yes, Paula, could you tell us a little bit more about who you are and where you are where we can find you and your work online?
Where am I in life? Oh gosh.
Big questions.
Just in the middle of an existential crisis, I guess. No. Hi, I'm Paula. I make board game sketch comedy. It's a series called Things Get Dicey, which can be found on YouTube. My YouTube channel is under my name, Paula Deming, but if you type in Things Get Dicey, you'll see it. I also do a variety of other board gamey things. I contribute to Watch It Played, which is a YouTube channel most known or perhaps best known for Rodney Smith's game tutorials. But I also contribute to that doing some top 10 countdown lists every month and a brand new show that's going to be launching sometime soon that might involve playing games. And I also am on a board game podcast called This Game is Broken. It is a comedy panel show where we compete on a quiz about board game trivia. And I stream for Gen Con TV every Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw that.
I stream board games, and those are the board game specific things that I do. I think that's all of them. Yeah, I do some other things too, but we can talk about those later. We'll focus on the board games for now.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot of stuff, so I mean, I'm sure it'll come up. I hope it'll come up because there's so many cool things that you do, even within board games and outside of board games. So yes. When did that love for board games actually first start?
Oh gosh,
when did you get interested in them?
Yeah, well, as a kid, I grew up with, I think, a pretty decent number of board games. I mean, nothing of a collector level of board games, but I feel like as a kid, we probably had like 10 to 20 board games in the house, which I feel like for like non-hobbyists, doing a lot of this, that's a fair amount of board games. So I grew up playing stuff like Clue, a lot of Clue, and The Game of Life, and Mall Madness, and oh my gosh, I loved Mall. My sister and I still quote the little like voice in our version when you would like swipe your credit card and see if you could actually buy the item. And sometimes you can't. And a guy would come on and be like, "Ooh, long line, try again later." And my sister and I quote each other with that all the time. There is a sale at the
real life. Yeah. That doesn't happen to you in real life. It's just really depressing when you swipe your card and you can't get something.
And it's like, there's a problem with your card. And you're like, oh God, never mind. It's not as
If
fun.
we made updated Mall Madness today, I feel like that would be the voice that they would say.
You're like, oh, sorry. Do you have another card you can use? That would be, and you're like, so I grew up playing them and I loved Clue. Clue was my favorite, and it was the game that really stuck with me as I got older and played less of like kid games. I was still playing Clue.
Yeah.
And then there's something about it, just feeling like I'm in the story and I get to like role play the characters I'm an actor, so it appeals to every bit of me, wanting to pretend like I'm in this story, and I'm, Colonel Mustard was my favorite to play with. I'm Colonel Mustard and I'm, solving the mystery. And then when I got older, I went off to college and things, and I stopped playing board games as much. But when I met my partner, he was really into board games, and we played Betrayal at House on the Hill together. And I mean, it just blew my mind. It was like everything I love about Clue, but more depth, more strategy, just more. And I was like, I can't, this is so great. Like we're flipping over tiles. We're discovering a house. We're reading story bits. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm a traitor. I've killed everyone. It was, it was great.
Who would have ever guessed? It would be me.
Who could have guessed? And I was like, more of this. I want more of this. And from there, we've just branched out and kind of enabled each other's addiction, I feel like, a little bit. And now we have just a real collection of games. And yeah.
That's always the problem. I feel like once you really get into it is that, and the best thing is when you go to a convention and you realize that your collection's actually small compared to still lots of people. Like even owning hundreds of board games, you'll meet someone and they'll be like, oh, you only have like 200 board games. Oh, that's not that many.
I made a video. I did like a parody vlog video where I was like talking about culling my collection, and in it I was like, I'm going to put a reasonable sounding number, like someone who would need to cull, but not someone who's like too crazy I was like, I'll say I have like, I don't remember the exact number I said now, but something like 184 games. That's probably pretty good. And it's more than I, at the time, owned myself. And I had some people in the comments of the video who were like, that's nothing. You own barely any games. I was like, that's almost 200 games, y'all.
Yeah.
No one can play that many.
Well, I mean, you can try. You can certainly try, but yeah, it is a lot of games, and I feel like that is the biggest problem once you get into the hobby more. Is you just find yourself accruing these games, and I actually watched that video and I thought it was really funny. I actually had exactly like 184 games like 2 years ago. Like I remember I counted them and I had 184, and that was the time when I was actually considering, okay, like I might be having a problem now. This might be too many. So it's funny that you picked that number. Yeah. I think it's perfect.
Like that's the exact number. Yeah. It does. It makes it hard I want to play all the games we own, but it makes it hard to play them all consistently because you have so many to choose from. And you do want to play, you love games. So when something new comes out, you want to try the new thing.
Of course. Yeah.
Because there's always something new that you might love even more than what you already love. I'm talking now, I hear myself and I realize it sounds like I do have a problem.
No,
chasing that next high.
Yeah, that next board game high. So true. Is there actually a new game, because you're kind of talking about Clue and you're talking about Betrayal, and I feel like both of those games have a lot of story elements to them, and I know that you've talked about tons of different categories of games in all of your work across the spectrum. Do you find that like that's kind of what you tend to gravitate towards though? Do you find that you just love games with story? I
love games with a story. I do. Anything that has like a narrative focus, I'm automatically like, oh, I want to play that. I want to try that. More and more I do also find myself leaning more toward other more puzzle-based games, I would say, how I would call them. Especially I realized recently someone was like, oh, what have you been playing lately? And I named like 4 tile laying games. And I was like, oh, I must really love polyomino tile laying because that's all I've been playing lately. But I actually have just been getting to my table conveniently because it's a Renegade game. Clank Legacy, the Acquisitions Incorporated Clank. We played it a year ago, New Year's Eve, when we could actually have friends over and play games. And we just played one random chapter of it with a friend who had it, who was like, I'm not going to try and play this with the same group over and over because I know I'll never get through it. And you can kind of drop in and out. And so we played it. I was like, I'd never played Clank before at all. And I was like, ooh, I really like this because I also really like deck builders. So this Christmas, it was like majorly on sale for Black Friday. And I was like, I'm getting this. And so we got it and we've been playing through it. And I'm really enjoying that. And that's also very narrative based. Anything, if there's a game where it's like you can go somewhere and read a story section. And even if people are like, don't though, because you won't win if you spend your time reading the story bits. I'm like, nah, I don't care about that. I'm reading the story bits. And above and below, I'm going below. I don't care if it hurts my points or not. I want to know what happens.
I'm the worst for that in above and below. I'm always doing the things that people are like, but strategically, that's not. And I'm like, yeah, but strategy.
But I just want to have a good time. I'm absolutely the person who in a dungeon crawl, when they're like, now, if you go too many turns and no monsters have showed up, then you have to like spawn an ambush and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. I'm not playing this at your pace. I'm playing this at my pace. I'm playing it because I want to search every item token. I want to open every chest. I want to experience the world, and I will I'll house rule that.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like, I wonder if that also comes from like the other side of the gamer in you as well, because I know that when you started your channel, were also doing a lot of video game content. And actually on Twitch, do you do anything on Twitch yourself, or do you still do any video game content?
Yeah, so I actually do. So I stream on my own Twitch channel right now 3 days a week, and 2 of those days are video games. Cool. Right now, and it's very similar. I focus on RPGs or story narrative heavy games with a lot of like dialogue options. Right now I'm playing through Dragon Age Origins. But before that, I was playing The Witcher 3. Before that, I was playing the Mass Effect trilogy. And before that, I was playing The Last of Us. And so anything that's very narrative heavy, I'm always into. So I'm doing that. But also on Monday mornings, I'm streaming board games as well.
Cool.
So I'm starting to like kind of mix it up a little.
Do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, because I feel like that searching is a very like RPG story or video game based mentality.
That's true. You're like, okay, I want to click on all the things. I want to look at every item. I want to open every drawer. I want to loot every body.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, although I do know RPG gamers that don't do that, I feel like most of the ones that I know are the people that like need to search everything. I'm the same way. I do need to search everything, and I will spend like a weird amount of time. Like I'm playing Cyberpunk as well right now. And Cyberpunk is like the other day I was searching something and Jackie was with me and he was just like, can we like leave? Like, are you done? And I was just like, this is what it would be like. No, but this is what it would be like in real life if you were traveling with people and you were acting like an RPG gamer and you're like, oh, what's in this bottle? They'd be like, why are you?
Oh, there's a barrel here. I should probably loot, see if anything's in it. Like,
yeah, people would be like, that's not your barrel. Get out of there. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I love about games like Skyrim, when you go into people's houses and if you take something, it's like thievery, because I'm just like, that is more realistic to
yeah, they're like, well, what are you doing? This is mine.
Thief. Yeah, they just yell thief at you and you have to like run for your life.
Like,
it's great. Yeah. Especially when you accidentally pick something up and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Here, take it back.
Too late. But yeah, that's great. That's so awesome. I definitely feel like I also need to check out your Twitch because I also love a lot of story driven stuff, and Dragon Age Origins is it your first time playing Origins?
It's my first time playing Origins. I've played Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition before, so I'm coming back to this one as a bit of like a prequel. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, oh, this character, I know who she becomes, you know, like.
Yeah, I love that though. That's so
it's really
great.
fun.
Yeah, Origins is, I love number 2, but I think Origins is just so good. Especially if you're going backwards, it's really cool that way. But that's so great. When it comes to your board game content as well, or I mean, just your content in general on your channel. I mean, there's so many people out there doing board game content right now and doing video game content. What do you think really sets your content apart?
Gosh, that's a good question. You know, I'll talk about something. I got a really nice message from someone recently, and I'll talk about this. I think it's a little, maybe I'm not self-aware enough to know what makes me stand out, I guess. Something must, because people watch it. And I remember when I put my first video up, a lot more people watched it than I thought were going to. And it was very cool. It's the most validating thing I've ever done, I think, because I'm an actor and I've been in LA for 11 years now. And I've been in a handful of things. I don't have a Hollywood acting career. It's a slog. And you spend so much time as an actor, like putting yourself out there creatively, as you probably know, and then being like, well, I guess it was another no, because so much of acting is auditioning and then not booking. And I'd been in web series and stuff before. I'm going on a tangent now, but I'd been in like web series and other content. And I was like, I've been in a lot of web series that no one watched. No one.
I mean, I think, you know, the most feared question as a performer is when people ask you, when you say you're a performer, someone asks you what you do, and you say, oh, well, you know, I'm an actor.
Yeah. What have I seen you in?
Yeah, what have I seen you in? Or what have you done lately? That's my other favorite question. Well, what have you done lately?
I go, oh, I do a lot of theater, so you probably wouldn't have seen it.
I like to say that to people just to skip the question, because it's like, there's also so many things that you do as well, where it's this weird idea of measuring your success.
Yeah.
This is the cool thing about YouTube, though. I think that YouTube offers people, it's like, you don't have to measure your success in terms of like, you know, the whole world seeing something and you being on a giant billboard.
Yeah.
It's the people that you engage with on the community are just so usually involved in your content, which is really nice. So it's like, so you can even if you have like, you know, you can still get thousands of views, which your content does get still lots of views, but the people that are there are also going to be like so invested, which is really lovely. What was the message you got that you were alluding to?
Oh yeah, so I put this thing out and I was like, wow, people are actually watching this. This is the thing I'm making that people actually like. And it was really validating. And I got this message the other day. Thank you. I'd completely forgotten that's where I'd
No, I
started.
got you.
That's why you're the host. You're like,
I guide us
good
through the
job.
tangents and bring us back when we
Brought
need
us
to go.
right back to that road we were on. I got a message and it said, hey, I had been into board games and my gaming group was taking it really seriously. And it was making me lose the joy of playing games. And I found your content and it's so clear how much you love the play and the silliness and the joy that brings you in board games. And it's helped me remember that there is joy and playfulness to be found in this hobby. It's not just about like winning and min-maxing and points and strategy. It's about having fun, and your content reminded me of that. And I just think that is the coolest thing just about anyone could say to me, I think. And I was like, oh, I guess I do. I am pretty silly. And it's true. Like, they're games. It's literally in the name, board games. We are playing games. Even I know sometimes I'm a sore loser, but we should be able to crack jokes and have fun. And when I made Things Get Dicey, what I really wanted, and I hope this is part of what makes me stand out, what I wanted was to create a sense of community through humor. We can all connect by watching something and going, oh, I get that. That's a joke that I get. That joke is for me and my people, as it were. And we can all feel connected by all being in on the same joke. And that's what I wanted to do with Things Get Dicey. And I hope that's what helps that content stand out.
I mean, I think it sounds, just based on the message that you got, like you've succeeded there. And I think that's also interesting to think about, even just like as a performer, the questions you get where people ask you, what have you done lately and all of this stuff, and sort of as though that is your measure of success, as though you being in something big is this measure of a success. But really what it is about is the messages like that you get that make you realize, hey, like I'm touching somebody and changing their perception of something, or enhancing their perception of something, or bringing joy to their lives, which is why we make art. I think.
And that can happen. I think an important thing to say to everyone is that can happen whether your video is getting 1,000 views or 100 views. You don't know. One of those 100 people might be deeply touched by what you've said or done. And that is completely worth having put that out. So, you don't need to be getting massive amounts of views and have massive amounts of followers to have that kind of an effect on someone.
Yeah. And usually when you are, I think, tapping into anyways, that stuff that's sincere, that you really want to put out, that comes from like this place deep within your soul or your heart, it is the times when you though will get that traction, because I think people have a tendency to like react to sincerity in a way that, I mean, at least I hope. There's some things in the world where I'm like, what is this? Why do people like this?
Why do people like this?
I don't understand. But I think for most people, that idea of sincerity is something that people connect with just on a level that we're not even aware of. Like, I don't even think we understand when we're doing it sometimes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would say that definitely makes your content different as well. I was going to say the humor and just the, like your Twilight Imperium video that you did brought me so much joy, because I've also played Twilight Imperium and I know what it's like and we weren't even as prepared. Like, I love that you were just like, I have to set up all the stuff. And I was like,
it's got to be ready.
Man, it's got to be ready.
You want to know a secret? Perfect. I haven't played Twilight Imperium.
Well, you're ready to know. You're set up.
I did a lot of research to look like I had played, and I borrowed my friend's copy of the game. And I did a lot of the research that I would do to be able to play, because I wanted to look like I knew what I was doing. But I haven't had a chance to actually play it yet. But I'm hoping that will change soon. But that's my greatest acting role. Pretending like I know how to play Twilight Imperium.
You convinced me that you had that experience, because I felt, as someone who has played Twilight Imperium, I felt connected to that experience. And when I played it, we were not as prepared. So all I could think back to was like, I wish I had been as prepared.
How long did it take you to play? I'm curious how long it takes everyone.
I think we played, this was a few years ago when I played, but I think it was like 6 hours.
That's not bad then compared to what I hear a lot of. Yeah.
It was a lot of people being like, go, you know, it was a lot of that happening at the table, which I personally am fine with. So it wasn't a bad experience at all. It was very fun.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't remember if I won. I either won or came close to winning, I believe. And I was doing the sneaky, I like to, when I play, I'm going to give this to the whole world. And if
everyone's going to know you're never going to be able to win with this strategy again.
That's fine. I'll let it go. But I'm like the sneaky, will usually try to any game where I can make friends with people at the table and then secretly like just go hard so that I can turn on them at the last moment.
So you're a fan of like hidden traitor games? You play a lot of like Dead of Winter or Shadows over Camelot or that kind of style.
Although people are always suspicious of me. So it doesn't
That's
matter.
What happens once you do it a few times and no one trusts you ever again. You're like, I'm not.
Yeah. Although I also play really chaotically, so it kind of makes sense because sometimes I'll do stuff for like in Dead of Winter, I'll just do stuff to look like shady, and people will be like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Because it's fun.
It's just fun."
Like you're like a, you know, you're a traitor. You're gonna mess with us. You're gonna try to mess us up. Get out of here. And then I wasn't, and then they're like, "Why would you do that? You ruined the game for trying to win." I just like to create some drama at the table sometimes when people aren't giving me enough drama. I feel like I need to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got to keep it interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any long strategy? Do you find, I mean, I'm going to make you give yours away now since I gave mine away, but do you have any long strategy plays though that you find you usually go to?
Gosh, I'm bad at long-term strategy is the real key, which is why games where you need to be able to plan a game like Scythe or something where you need to be able to plan a few steps ahead to get like an engine going, I'm really bad at because I can't think that far ahead. I'm thinking about like, what is good for me in this exact moment and nothing else. And like a hidden traitor or social deduction game, I'm gonna give myself away a bit. I do better with those when I'm playing with people who don't know me very well because they don't know my tells, because I can act pretty well in them if you don't know my tells. But if you know me pretty well, people are like, Paula is trying to convince us that she's going real hard right now trying to convince us that she's not the traitor, so she probably is.
Yeah.
But I do have a go-to. I'm like, fine, you can vote me out, but you'll just lose. You'll lose, but sure, fine, vote me out because I'm a human, because I know I'm a human.
That's very similar to my I give up. Yeah. When I'm like, well, you do what you want to do. We'll see who's the real traitor. Like, you know.
And then you're like, oh, it was me. Sorry.
It was me. It's got me. I know. You try to do it as the final last play though, where like if you're so sincere in it, maybe but yeah. I feel like when you play with people that you really know, they're like 10 steps ahead of you. They're like, oh, your thing when you did this was you were doing that so we wouldn't think this, but it was really this and we knew. And so secretly that means you're actually this role. And I'm like, how did you even know all of that?
Figure it out. They're like doing the little like calculations are happening in front of them in their mind. They're like, haha.
Got it.
Figured it out.
Social calculations. I love that. So true. Is there anything else that's inspired you sort of outside of board games themselves when it comes to making content? And this can be like making content that is outside of board games itself, or it can be in terms of like stuff that you bring into that content that you're like, oh, I never would have thought, but that's like mad inspiration.
In terms of like, the first thing I think of is like comedy inspiration. And I think for Things Get Dicey specifically, Key and Peele, that show is a huge inspiration for me. And during my first season, before I was like, we should really like do this in seasons. I need a break because I can't just pump these out every 2 weeks.
You're on season 4 now, by the way, right?
I am, yeah.
Nice.
So we just started it. We're like 2 episodes in. But I was feeling really burned out. I was like, I need a new sketch idea. And I was just staring at a blank screen. I was like, I have no more jokes. They're all gone. I've used them all. And I went and I watched a ton of Key and Peele on YouTube. And I was like invigorated and had all these ideas again. Their style of sketch comedy, I just really love. So they're a big inspiration. Mockumentary style comedy, I really am into. So like something I thought about when I was making the Twilight Imperium sketch was like The Office or What We Do in the Shadows. I was thinking about those 2 shows a lot when I was writing that, because it's very, especially with something like What We Do in the Shadows, you know, they actually have a Super Bowl episode But you know the whole time that they think they're going to one thing and you as the audience know that they're not. And so I was really thinking about that when I was writing. I was like, okay, how do we set up like this character who really thinks one thing and the audience knows that she is wrong? So those are some of my kind of inspirations when it comes to that. And then something like genre comedy or genre parody. I really love what Community does with genre parody. And that's the thing we think about a lot with Things Get Dicey. Because they'll do an episode like, this episode is a Western. This episode is a documentary. This episode is our version of an episode of Law and Order. And I think about that a lot when we do genre parody for Things Get Dicey is that example, because I think that show does that really, really well. So in terms of comedy, that's, I think, a lot of my inspiration.
Yeah, I like that. That's I feel like I definitely see a lot of that inspiration in some of the things that you do. Also, that Twilight Imperium video, by the way, everyone should go watch it. And because there's a great reveal at the end of that video that I'm not going to give away, but it's so good. And yeah, just the level of commitment, it was so blew my mind.
I will say I own a lot of wigs now.
Yeah, I believe you.
A lot of wigs.
That's so awesome. What about when other people sort of want to come in and I mean, I feel like when you make content, there's always people that are asking, you're saying, I'd love to make content like that, but I can't. Mm-hmm. And people that are coming and wondering, if they want to start making cool content, how do they even get started? So do you have any advice for those people that are out there?
Well, I would say the first thing is, don't feel like you need to make anything that other people are doing. Don't be like, well, board game content is just reviews. So I guess if I want to make board game content, I should do reviews. If you're not feeling excited about that, don't do that. Don't try to copy what you see as being successful for someone else. Really think about like, what would you want to watch? What makes you excited to think about making? For me, it was comedy. I did not want to do reviews because I didn't feel for myself like I had, maybe this is a false narrative I told myself, but I was like, well, I don't have a journalistic background. I don't really know anything about criticism. I don't want to do reviews. I don't feel like I have anything to add to that conversation, but I know comedy. I could do that. And so I just did, because that's the thing that made me excited. So I would say, what's the thing that makes you excited? Make that. And then don't worry too much beyond that about like, how do I make it different? What's my gimmick? Because you inherently are different. You are unique. And so if you're doing the thing that is organic to you, that makes you excited, that will feel different. And then people will notice that, I think. So that's my first thing when you're thinking of like, well, what kind of content should I make? That would be my advice for that. And then with everything else, like technical stuff or whatever, just like, do your best. You really can shoot on your phone if you want. Yeah. Your phone is probably good enough to shoot. If you want to invest in a piece of equipment to start off with, I would say get a decent microphone. You can get decent ones for pretty cheap. And I think you can get away with a lot if you have poor or not professional quality, I should say, video quality. But if you have good audio, then it doesn't matter. And I think people are willing to forgive a lower video quality than they are lower audio quality. So I would say always 100%. Focus on your audio first. And don't worry, because if the content itself is good, it does not matter what the stuff looks like. It really doesn't, because people will be there for the substance of what's happening. And then as you get more experienced or you get more money and you can invest more in your setup or you learn more about how to run a camera, then you can start to do those things. But don't let the worry, we were talking about this, don't let the worry of wanting it to be perfect keep you from ever getting started. Because if you do, you'll never get started.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
That's very good advice. Yeah. And I totally agree with you with the audio. Like I do think audio, people don't really think about how important that is, but everyone online always comments on the audio. Like it's this
especially
weird,
see you chat. They will let you know in a heartbeat. The audio, something's wrong with the audio, something's wrong. Yeah. And you're like, oh God, I have to
Even
fix
when
it.
You're recording in, like I've also recorded in spaces that were quite cacophonous, like
Mm,
open spaces. And especially with now with the pandemic, and it's like if you're used to recording or filming at a studio, like you might not be at a studio. You might have to be like, guess I'm gonna, film this voiceover audition in my closet. Guess I'm gonna
yeah.
film this, video that I would normally have on my channel in my, living room.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, though, that people are ruthless. They don't care if you're in your living room. They'll be like, what's that audio though?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's what
anything
they'll
you can do
focus
to
on.
help, I feel like, is great. And you're right, it is also very affordable. Like you can get a really nice mic for like $100, not too
Yeah.
bad.
And then you can work on that. And in terms of if anyone's interested in getting started on like board game streaming
Mm.
or streaming of any kind,
This is a good, actually, yeah. Give us advice on
one,
that.
I would say the board game Twitch community is growing really quickly, and it is a lovely, lovely place. And so shout out to everyone in the chat right now. You all are making just the nicest community, and I love it. I can go into almost any board game stream and see people I know. I've been doing so many air quotes today. What's the deal?
I feel like that's your first air quotes in here today.
I feel like I've done it like a million times. People I recognize, I should say, from other streams, and it's like, oh, my friends are here. So one, I would say dive in if you're interested, because it's a great time to be getting into board game streaming. But my big thing for that is know that things will go wrong. You will have technical issues. Even I've been streaming for 4 years. And my community will tell you, I have technical issues all the time. It's okay. Things will go wrong. It's normal. Everyone knows that OBS is the worst, and you'll fix it and then you'll keep going. And that's all right. And like, don't stress out about it. Don't be too worried. It's fine. And that would be my advice for that. Like, it's not a big deal. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. I feel like you just need to not let any technical issues get to you is the key thing. So like you just need to be patient with yourself, and everyone will be patient with you for sure.
They will be.
Yeah.
I once had a chat watch me for 30 minutes try to recover some lost save files on a video game that they couldn't even see what I was doing because I didn't have like a capture of my desktop. So it was just me and like a blank screen, like freaking out that I couldn't find some save files, and they stuck around. I was like, why are you all here?
My favorite is when I have problems and I'm streaming something and other people are trying to help me troubleshoot my problems in the chat. And they're like, oh, have you tried this? And I'm like, oh, I will. Thank you.
Oh, I will look into that. Yeah.
So great. That's so hilarious. Yeah, I love that. That is what it is. If you have a good community of people, which, hopefully you do, everyone is usually pretty cool. And you're definitely right about the board game community on Twitch being awesome.
Yeah, y'all are great.
Every board game, or even board game adjacent, like people that do board games but also maybe play video games, do both those things. All of those chats have been great. And my favorite is that people have for some reason have this thing in their mind that like if you play board games, then like that's your thing, and if you play video games, then that's your thing. And I think with this rise in board games lately has allowed us to all see is that actually there's so much overlap in that community. And I feel like some of the best video game people are actually also board gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true, because board gamers are the best people, I think.
They are. I mean, I think we're both prejudiced, but
maybe
we have a little bias about it. But it's
just a small bit.
Not one. Yeah, we're about halfway through, by the way, or just over, and I am going to give everyone the code word for today.
Oh, get ready, everyone.
Yes, get ready, Paula, and get ready, everybody else, because the code word today is and. Like yes and, because I know that Paula is a big comedy and improv person from just checking her out online. So
that's right.
Yes. So like
it's
and.
just the word and. Do we
Just
need
the
to put an
word and.
exclamation point or a hashtag or anything?
No, just and. 3 letters. This is an easy one for
I
everyone
did it.
today.
I entered. I'm such a jerk.
So everyone get in there and enter if you want to win, because you're up against Paula.
Take this from me, everyone.
Watch, and everyone's gonna be nice too, and they're gonna be like, oh, we won't enter, we'll like let Paula have the game.
Don't do that, y'all. Enter, win this.
Yeah, you definitely want to win it. You want to win it when the guest is entering for it. That tells you how good the game is.
It's such a pretty game.
Have you played? It is so pretty.
I haven't played it, but I've seen lots of like Instagram pictures and other people playing it and stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, it looks good.
It is really good. It is. I don't even know if it. I feel like it plays even better than it looks. And that is like a huge compliment because this game is, it is beautiful.
It looks really good.
And then I played it and then I was like, oh, geez, I'm never going to play anything else again. I have a problem now. By the way, I was also thinking, speaking of games that we have you checked out Snallygaster Situation yet? Because I feel like you should check that one out when it does. I mean, it's available for pre-order now, but loving story.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's cooperative, but where one person kind of plays a lost kid who like organizes all the stuff, and you got to find the lost kid, and they're kind of controlling the monsters, but they want you to find them. It's kind of like Mysterium.
Ooh.
But then you're all kids in a town, very like our RPG Kids on Bikes.
That sounds really cool.
It's really good, and you should check it out. Moving back into sort of content, I'm just dropping it out there for you. When you were mentioning story games before, I initially was like, ooh,
like we got to talk about this.
Yeah. And this is another one too that I feel like you could do something cool with. And like, there's cool characters in it that you could even like portray or play as and do a skit with that. And then you maybe could even just have a copy of it. Who knows?
Who knows? We're working my way into getting all kinds of Renegade games. Are you listening?
I have no control over any of this side of the call, but
Amanda said that you would send all the games.
Yeah, people are gonna be like, Amanda, what are you promising people on this show? And be like, I'm just saying.
Amanda said that I could have this, so
take this. I love it. So yeah, speaking of actually getting into characters and doing all of that, you're not just a YouTuber. You're also an improver. You're also an actor. You also do you also do voice acting as well? Because you're on so many podcasts.
I do. Yeah, I do some voice acting. So I've been on an audio drama, which is a fiction podcast that I co-produced but also act in, called Deck the Halls with Matrimony. It is basically like a Hallmark Christmas movie for your ears. It's a holiday rom-com. I'll say it's delightful, which you can find, but I also do some nonfiction podcasts. I mentioned This Game is Broken earlier, but I also have a non-board game related show, though all three hosts are board game media people. But it's called Death by Monsters. It's hosted by me, Matthew Jude, and Nick Murphy, who people in chat may or may not be familiar with. And it's a show about monsters, mysteries, and the unknown. So it is a comedy show about paranormal type things. That is very fun. I will say it is not family friendly. So just a heads up for anyone who hasn't listened yet and wants to check it out. I apologize to my mother a lot on the show because I curse a fair amount in it. So just be prepared for that.
People would be gasping otherwise. They'd be like, what is this?
Like, oh no. We've had a few people be like, so I started playing this in the car with my kids, and we're like, oh no, I'm so sorry. We're not that bad, but it's not family friendly. I would say, 13 and up, at least PG-13 I would rate it, I think.
All right.
So, unless someone in chat disagrees, y'all let me know. Should I rate it higher than PG-13?
People can let you know, the people that have been listening out there in the wide world. And is there for a lot of this content as well, like even when it comes to the channel, do you write a lot of the content? How does that all work for? I mean, I know you do some projects, but
so for Things Get Dicey, I write most of the scripts, not all of them. My partner Lawson has written a few, and we have co-written a lot of them together. Paul Dean, actually, who I know is in chat over there, has written a script for me, which was really fun. And then I have collaborated on a few things with Matthew Jude as well. So I often collaborate with friends, and most often I sit down with trusted friends and I go, hi, is this working? Is this funny? How can I make the script better? And get advice from them. But I do most of the writing. And then for something like Death by Monsters, I only do the writing for that occasionally. I mostly am getting told a story and then just getting to give my opinion on it. But that's mostly done by Matthew Jude, normally does the main script writing for that. What else? The stuff I do in Watch It Played, I have feedback, I have input on the script, but I'm not the main writer on that either, which is fine because I'm usually like, oh gosh, I have to write a new Things Get Dicey. What should it be? I don't know. Oh no. Yeah,
I feel you. As someone that writes a lot of content, it can it's a lot. Also, you don't realize when you write how much energy. I don't think anyone realizes, even when you're writing yourself, how much energy comes out of you just from writing words. Never
Yeah.
mind saying the words, just writing them down. You're like, wow, I'm tired. I need a nap.
Yeah, it's a lot because they have to, especially because you start with that blank page. You're like literally pulling something out of nothing. You're like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Pulling
It's
something out
just,
of nothing. It's
oh
the
boy.
craziest magic trick of all, is what you're doing when you write.
Right,
That's-
exactly.
yeah. So that's cool. So it sounds like there's a lot of workshopping involved in your
Yeah.
process then.
Yes, there is.
That's cool.
Which is always, my stuff is always better if I've bounced it off of other people, because they can tell me what's working or what isn't. Or just sometimes all I need to do is say an idea out loud to someone. And then in the process of saying it out loud, I can figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. Cool.
So I find that really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. It's great that you have so many creative people too in your community and around
Yes.
you. That's very
I'm
helpful.
really lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of sort of other projects and other channels, I know you were also part of another channel that I was checking out. It's called Gallifrey Girls. And seeing as how there are so many people, I think, in the board game community that are also part of nerd fandoms and many other amazing things, I thought we should talk about it. I am also a big Whovian myself,
Yay.
so I kind of thought it was really cool, just as like a premise, and the name of it is just, I love it. So can you tell me a little bit more about that channel and like kind of how it started and what it's about?
Yeah, so that's a reaction channel, which when I first started doing it, I was like, wait, what? You want me to do what? So a friend of mine reached out who is on a channel called Fan Theory TV, and they were like, hey, I'm looking for people who've never seen Doctor Who before to watch it with someone who's a big fan of the show and just react to it. And I was like, well, I've never seen Doctor Who, and I've been kind of looking for a reason to start watching, but there's so much Doctor Who that I was really intimidated by. I was like, oh, I don't know where to start, so I just won't. And I was like, well, this could be a great way to dive in. And so I met my co-host, whose name is Katrina, who's become one of my really good friends. I feel like we got really lucky. We didn't know each other before we started doing the show at all. And we got together and we started watching from the 9th Doctor, so Christopher Eccleston, New Who, and started watching for that. And then around a year ago, we broke off and decided that we would start our own channel. So now we have our own channel, the Gallifrey Gals, and we react to Doctor Who and Star Trek The Next Generation, because Star Trek The Next Generation is one of my favorite TV shows, and my co-host, Katrina, had never seen it. So it's like, now I get to show you one of my favorite shows. And then we're watching some other things as well. We're watching some animated shows. And it's just really fun I've been really loving Doctor Who. And it's just really fun to watch it with someone who's so enthusiastic about it. And then I'm a pretty emotive person. Like, I wear my emotions on my face. Which I think makes me a good reactor.
Yes.
And I guess people
100%.
get some enjoyment out of watching someone experience something they love for the first time, which is fun, you know? Fun. And so that's kind of what that channel is all about. And we're 7 seasons into Doctor Who right now.
Woo!
So
you've come a long way.
I have come a long way. It's been a lot. Watching Matt Smith be the Doctor and enjoying that.
So who are you on now then? Are you on still Matt Smith, or are
Matt Smith?
Still Matt Smith. Yeah.
And our companion who I've just met is Clara.
Okay. Ooh.
But I've just recently met her. It's all very new. She really thinks she just belongs. And I'm
does.
I'm like,
are you finding it hard?
Yes.
To accept her?
I am.
She'll grow on you, I think. But I felt the same way when Clara came in. I was
this
like,
is apparently very divisive in the Whovian world. Some people love her and some people hate her. And I'm remaining open, but she thinks she belongs here, and I'm just not so sure yet. But it's like when the Doctor changes. I'm like, who is this Matt Smith weirdo? I want my David Tennant back.
Yeah, new Doctor Who diss. You're like, I don't know about this person.
I like it. So it's all about.
I would say I feel very similarly about that, except that I started with Matt Smith because I like randomly saw an episode and didn't know what it was. And I'd heard about Doctor Who forever. And then someone was like, oh, this is Doctor Who. And I'm like, oh, this is Doctor Who. And then I went back and watched everything. And then the other Doctor, I would say I was never like oh, who's this doctor, was Jodie Whittaker when she took over, who's our doctor now.
I can't wait to get to her,
Yeah.
and like I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm excited for you. Yeah,
I'm
Jodie's
avoiding all
she's fun.
spoilers, but I'm looking forward to seeing, because I've seen her in other things. I'm like, oh, I can see how she
how that
got
would be
cast in
cool.
this role, and yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah, no spoilers, but I will say it's amazing. And yeah, especially considering just even what you've said. All I will say is just based on what you've said, I feel like you'll like it. Mhm. Very mysterious. That's really cool. And I like the idea that it's an exchange of like sort of fandoms as well, like
Yeah.
with the TNG and the Doctor Who. And both those are really great shows. So
yeah, oh my gosh, TNG is top 2 TV show of all time for me. I love it.
It
so
must
much.
even just be a fun show to relive, because every time I like, even when I rewatch TNG, it still feels like kind of new to me. Like there's this
it's still
old
so
newness.
relevant. Like
Yes.
they are addressing social issues in like 1990 that we're still like, there's an episode about like gender identity, and I'm like, this is from 1990.
This
It's
is still
so
happening.
good.
Yeah,
This
so
could be
true.
today.
I know there's
I
so
love
many
it.
things in there that are just still so like, I mean, that's the amazing thing I think about Star Trek, or I mean, should be the amazing thing about it, is that it can never really fully feel dated. Even the original
Yeah.
series. I'm like a huge weird like TOS original series fan. But even that, there are episodes that I go back and watch and I'm like, this is still like a thing. This still feels
This is pretty
poignant.
Universal, which I think is what's so great about Star Trek, but also sci-fi in general, is it really can be just so universal throughout time, because humans are people gonna people, you know?
People gonna people. And yeah, that's the cool thing about sci-fi, is it doesn't matter like how far into the future you go, it's still like always gonna be something that you're like, oh, that like really applies to like my inner like self. Cool.
Yeah, you're like, wow, I do feel that way.
Even Black Mirror, which is like so out there, there are things that I'm always like, oh, this is like me today.
Oh, yeah.
I've never fought a robot, but I feel like I feel this. Yeah.
But I get the metaphor happening here.
Yeah. So looking ahead to like future projects as well, what are some future projects that you would just like love to get involved in? And are there any board games out there that you would just love to make content on? Like if you could have your pick and people were just like, oh, please make a video on this.
Oh man. I don't know. Well, I will say, one, I'm really looking forward to the day when we can do live theater again. I miss live theater quite a bit. And in terms of like content I'm making, I would love to kind of pivot Things Get Dicey into more of like a narrative show, you know, in the style of like a mockumentary, like you know, The Office or something like that, but set around like a game group or something like that. I could see one day trying to kind of like pivot what we've been doing with the sketches into like a cast of characters that we see in a more episodic way. That would be pretty cool.
That would be super awesome. That reminds me of what's the show Felicia Day is
The Guild. Is that The Guild?
Guild, yes,
Yeah.
The Guild. Thank you. But I could definitely see it like sort of almost having like a bit of a guild feel, where it's like, you know, we're all these characters, all different types of characters who maybe approach games in different ways and stuff like that. Kind of these archetypes, stereotypes of game players. That's really cool. I think that would be awesome. I hope you get to do that.
That would be neat. We'll see.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed for you. I believe it will be possible. I think give you a few years. Would you want to do it as like a YouTube thing, or would you want it to be like even like a TV show or something?
I mean, gosh, if Netflix wanted to buy it, I wouldn't tell them no, you know?
Yeah, maybe start it on YouTube, and then maybe
who knows? All kinds of people start with their shows on YouTube, and then they get picked up. Who knows? I could be the next Broad City. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Hey, that would be great. Broad City's awesome. All right. Well, that's all my questions. So now I feel like it's time to turn it to the chat, and they always have such amazing questions. So I'm excited.
Right, chat.
All right.
Don't disappoint us.
So we do have some questions, and I know we're getting close to 5 o'clock or
quick fire
my time, but there are some questions here that you could probably quick fire. So let's get started. Favorite comedian?
Favorite comedian. I should have a better answer for this. I'm, of course, immediately drawing a blank. I just rewatched a Mike Birbiglia I say his name right, special, and was like, oh, this is good. He's really like emotional. I love anything that is like emotional but also funny, because I think comedy opens you up to being emotionally vulnerable in a way that I think can be really powerful. And I know that there is a female comedian who I cannot think of right now who I would be like, her, I want to make comedy like she does. But I'm drawing a blank. So if I think of it later, I'll say it.
Just yell it out.
I'll just be like, oh, it was this person.
Usually once you leave it, it comes back to you.
Right?
So.
I'll be like, oh, yeah.
All right. So what is your favorite D&D character or class?
Good question. I have played a rogue. I'm currently playing a cleric who is a lot more fun than I was expecting, but I'm about to play a bard for the first time tomorrow as part of a fundraising event for the Ronald McDonald House of the Bluegrass. There's a Givers and Gamers event. You can go to the Twitch channel, Kentucky Fried Dice, which is KY Fried Dice, and I'll be doing a one-shot D&D like arena combat thing to raise money for charity, and I'm playing a bard for the first time in that, and I'm really excited to try a bard. I've been wanting to play a bard because I feel like, right, that feels like a good fit for me.
I feel like it's a very good fit, especially with all the music. I feel like that you can integrate into that if you want.
Hannah Gadsby is a good one, Fine Art Films. Catherine O'Hara, I've been thinking about her, but there is someone else that I was like, oh, her stuff is so good. I want to be like that. But no, I'm just horrible. But yes, I'm excited to play a bard. I have a hard time choosing favorites. That's what you're going to find from these questions.
Well, you might find it hard to answer some of these questions then. All right. Let's see. Matthew Jude or Matthew Jude's ghost?
Oh, boy. Well, I like the fact that Matthew Jude isn't dead. And Matthew Jude's ghost is. But Matthew Jude's ghost could probably travel around, which I would like, because, you know, then we wouldn't be in different countries. So I can't even pick a favorite there. I guess Matthew Jude.
Let's see. Favorite dice to roll? D8, D12, D20. Do you have a favorite?
I like the D20. I like a D20, yeah. That one I could answer.
Favorite dinosaur?
I like the Ankylosaurus a lot. I'm laughing because there's also this dinosaur from a kid's like song tape I had when I was a kid. There was a whole song about this little early dinosaur, kind of like the size of a chicken, called a saltipus. And there's a little song, and I always think about it. Saltipus, saltipus. He was small, but he came first, scurrying from bush to bush. Surely must be saltipus. So I always think of him, but I feel like he's a bad answer because I'm gendering a dinosaur in this way that like there's male and female saltipuses. People are like, would be like, that's not a dinosaur. So an ankylosaurus or a saltipus.
Amazing.
Basically.
All right. What is your favorite Renegade game?
This is tough. I really love Bargain Quest a lot. And I'm really enjoying Clank Legacy. There are so many good ones, and it's hard to, I will just leave it at those two. I feel like I need to like pull up the library and like scroll through, because then I'll be like, ooh, that one.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Ooh, that one. Yeah, so I'll say, but those are the two that I'll say.
Good choices. What was your favorite Death by Monsters episode?
That's tricky. There's one we did, I think our Dogman episode that we did recently, I really liked. I also really like our episodes on the Dyatlov Pass, which have been pretty popular with our listeners as well. And the Bell Witch, I think, was a good one. I can't pick one. Our Salem Witch Trials episodes were pretty good.
My favorite one, all of them.
All of them. Well, you know what? I'll say ultimate favorite, the Shakespeare Conspiracy episode, I think. I will say that one. I can't pick.
All right. Favorite Murph? Ooh.
Well, Nick obviously has the better hair. So, but I did just win a competition with Mike. Yep.
Good answer.
That's the answer.
That's the answer.
All right. What tips would you give to new creators who want to make things about? Well, you kind of answered this a little bit, but if you have any other tips, if they want to make things about board games online, especially if they're from an underrepresented group. So, any other tips that you might have?
I would say don't let the fact that you aren't seeing yourself represented out there as much as you want keep you from doing the thing. You can do the thing. And in fact, we need you to do the thing. And know that it might take time for the thing to grow. But if you are enjoying what you're doing, like go easy on yourself, give yourself some grace, but like do it. And if you're having fun, keep doing it because you never know when it will hit, you know? That's my advice. And know that there's a community out there of other underrepresented groups who are ready to support you in what you're doing. That's what I found. I've found a lot of support, a lot of really lovely people who reached out to me when I first started. So that's been really, really wonderful. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully that's helpful.
All right, and I think that might have been the last question. Just a fun comment that I wanted to share from Facebook. Kent Parker said, Paula, I have a copy of Succulent. I will send it to you, no joke.
Kent Parker, thank you. Also, hi, how have you been? It's been so long since I saw you a year ago on the cruise.
Oh my goodness, there you go.
Well, good. Because I
From the
didn't
cruise.
enter the giveaway properly. So I'm not actually in it. So thank you.
It was a fake out.
It was a fake
There you go.
Messed
Paula
up.
was trying to get you guys to enter it. It was
That's
all
right.
set.
I wanted to inspire everyone's sense of competition.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I hope Ken sends it to you. But also, I honestly just hope, I personally think, just make some content for Renegade. I feel like we could hook you up. Once again, I cannot get anything for anyone.
I've
but
done a little.
I'm saying it.
There's a little Christmas episode from a year ago. You might see some games that you recognize in there.
I'll have to go back and check that out. That sounds awesome. Yeah, and Renegade is definitely one of those places. I mean, I feel like if anyone ever has to ask me what my favorite Renegade game is, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
It's hard. It's such a deep catalog. It's really hard to.
And so many great games in different areas, and you're just like, oh, do I go that direction or do I go that direction? These are both very different, but both great. Games. Yeah, let's just see what's this list.
Because I played Raiders of the North Sea for the first time recently, but the app version, that's really good. And the app version works really well also. Big fan of that. I really want to try Alice is Missing.
Yes, I also
now
really
I'm just
want to
going
try
through
Alice is
everything.
Missing. I haven't played that one yet, but it looks amazing.
There's
Sounds
all the
amazing.
clanks. There's
so many clanks for you to try. That's the other side of it. Also, I love that you're playing Clank Legacy, which is the best one. Lanterns is great.
In the dice game
as well,
yes,
right?
We're the same person. The dice game, which I played. Yeah, Proving Grounds. No one talks about that, but I really like Proving Grounds a lot. Now I'm just scanning your. I want to play the Search for Planet X, but I haven't had a chance to yet.
You will like
Terror
it.
Below.
It's really
I actually really like Terror Below. I might have to change my answer. I forgot that was a Renegade game. I did not think I would like Terror Below because pick up and deliver always sounded like a boring mechanic to me. And I get this way where I decide that something sounds boring and then I never want to play it, which is dumb because then I played Terror Below and I was like, actually, this was really fun. It's really satisfying to pick up an item and then drop it off somewhere.
The story as well, I feel like the story
it's
element
so good.
It makes it really fun, and the characters in that are really awesome. But what were you saying? Lanterns. Oh, there's something else, but now I forget. But there was another game you were saying, and I was like, oh man, yeah, that is good. There's so many. There's
The Search for Planet X. That one.
The Search for Planet X. That is what I was going to say. Desiree, you were reading my mind. I was going to say, if you love Clue like I do, you will love The Search for Planet X.
Yeah,
I describe it like
really
Clue
curious about it.
It's really good.
It sounds good. Yeah.
It's so good. You finish it and then you're like, oh, I got to play that immediately again. Yeah, Yeah, that's when you got to play. And you can play it solo as well. So
Ooh, that's
should
always
help.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, which I like. All right. Well, thank you so much, Paula, for being here. It was so
You're so
lovely
very
talking.
welcome.
Yeah,
This was a great time.
Yeah, it was a really fun time. And I hope that you get to make a show with your content.
Thank you.
I would love to watch that. I will definitely watch the Things Get Dicey show, the show. And if you could just tell us before you go, remind us who you are, where we can find both you and your work online, and make sure that we subscribe to all the things.
Yeah, so my name's Paula Deming. I make the board game sketch comedy show, Things Get Dicey. You can find me and that show on Twitter at either at Paula Deming, which is probably the safest way to keep up with everything I'm doing, or you can follow Things Get Dicey on Twitter at Things Get Dicey. If you type either my name or that into YouTube, you will find my channel. I also am on the board game comedy podcast, This Game is Broken, which you should absolutely check out and consider nominating for a Golden Geek when those nominations open up here before too long. I also stream board games right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Paula Deming, 3 days a week, 2 days are video games, 1 day is board games, and a 4th day on Gen Con TV, that Twitch channel. I stream board games on that day with Matthew Jude. I also contribute to Watch It Played, which is a YouTube channel that you should check out. And I make the podcast Death by Monsters, which you can find anywhere you find podcasts. And if you like nerd reactions, you can check out the YouTube channel Gallifrey Girls, where I react to Doctor Who, Star Trek The Next Generation, and I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but that's surely enough. It's too much. Just follow me on Twitter at Paula Deming. You'll see all the things.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot of things. So you got to go and just check out all the socials so that you can stay up to date. That would be my suggestion to you. And if you missed anything, it's probably like a bonus thing and you'll be like, oh, that's great. I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Paula.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. And before we head out, I'm going to remind you all about some cool things. And I'm going to give you that giveaway code word one more time. So stick around. So we do have the Snallygaster situation, Embarcadero, Agretsuko. Those are all available for pre-order right now. They're all amazing. And trust me, you need them in your lives. If you don't have them, what are you doing with your life? No, I'm just kidding. But also you should definitely get them because they're all really fun. And just a reminder of our Twitch schedule. Speaking of Twitch, we do have a More Phenomenal Monday this week. We also have Wednesdays, our Vampire Wednesdays. And we've got, of course, the Renegade Society radio show every Friday where you can come chill with me and we will talk about some cool stuff with some cool people. Before we head out, I would like to remind you one more time of that word. And the word is simple this week. It is and. A-N-D. Yeah. Sounds like it's a trick, but that's it. That's the word. Like yes and. And so you can enter that to potentially win a copy of Succulent. My fingers are crossed for you. Water all the succulents. And
someone
Desiree
will win. It could be
yes,
you.
Someone will win. Could be you.
Mm-hmm.
Desiree will put that link in the chat. And that is all for this week, friends. So thank you so much, Paula. Thank you, Desiree. And I will leave everyone with that. All right, my renegades, we'll see you next week. But until then, play your game.